Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Wednesday afternoon, January 13th. We are looking at the SPY ETF's market profile here on Window Trader. And just like we tested the bottom of the balance yesterday in F&G, we get kind of close to the top of the balance and the all-time high in J and K. We go out, not many reference points. One disappointing thing for the bulls, they had 3 attempts at a trend day up and failed on the single prints. They had single prints in C that failed. They had single prints in G that failed. They had single prints in J that failed. So they did have a chance for a trend day up. They do not get it. We're still in what is now a 5-day balance. There it is. Now, somebody pointed out in the room today, since I don't usually look at that, the composite value for the last 5 days, the value high is F's high from the 11th. Well, guess what? We traded back and forth through that composite value high all afternoon. My volume POC and everything right near it. So we traded below the composite value low a couple of times. Well, this is the first time we really traded above it. See how that plays into the market tomorrow. The Russell looked above, actually gapped higher, I think, by a little bit above yesterday, and then fell apart for the most part. They attempted again in G to get up. They end 10 wide. Their value is barely overlapping to higher. They actually go out with a price probe as they made a new low. They took out the afternoon pullback low from yesterday. They go out with a price probe. Even though we closed above it, we will still use B's low because we don't know if it's accepted or rejected until tomorrow. They still have the gap, though, from yesterday that held. 2-day balance. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's one time framing up for 2 days now. But they didn't get any distance away from yesterday. Triple Qs, P-shape. They took out yesterday's high to stop the one-time framing down for the last 2 days. So again, you can basically encompass them in a 5-day balance also. They go out 10 wide. And now back to us. So I had a good day today. We had a couple of good opportunities this market because the destinations are far and wide apart and because we're getting some decent ranges in the initial balance and throughout the day, it's given us some good opportunities. The volume stinks, under 42 million right now with the after hours still to go, but at least we're getting opportunities. So A period opened today, and I said I wouldn't do much because we're in balance, in value. Well, we opened, went below the opening, and then started trading up M's range. It pulled back, gave me an opportunity for a long in A period above the opening, which worked out. I traded today's expirations, and those are the 377 calls. That was a successful trade. I took, I think, 7 trades, and most of them for the long side. Now, the best trade of the day, again, turned out to be B period. Well, not that yesterday my best trade was F, but it was kind of the same setup. I told the room B period went up. I'm sorry, it didn't go up yet. B period was above the open. I said, if we get below the opening, A's range was rather small. I said, I think we'll stretch the initial balance, take out A's low, and go test that very visual area down here. So I took A short when we broke A. Actually, it was right before we broke A's low. I innovated and took the 380 puts. I did 50 of them this time. I'm sorry. No, I didn't. I'm trying to think if I did 30 or 50. I forgot the amount I did. I think it was only 30, actually. But it paid very nicely because as soon as it took out A's low, just like F ripped, now it didn't rip as much as F did yesterday, but we ripped right down to that very visual level. It was only 30. And I took it off and paid nice. I said to the room I should have been 50 or 100. And then right after that, I went long because it was early, this happened early in the time frame. Value was overlapping at the time. I'm like, let's see if we hold value low. And we got, remember yesterday in H, we could never get back below A's low or the previous day's low. And I said, that's a very important level. Well, I said that to the room. I said, that's important again. I bought the 377 calls. So I bought the low of the day, but I didn't hold it. I held it long enough to make a good trade in B, but I didn't hold it. So that was that trade. Then in D, took a long initially against single prints and against holding the one-time framing. I made on it the 378 calls. It filled the single prints. Now, what I didn't do is add. I actually said to the room, I'm not liking the way this is acting. I made money on it, but not a lot. But I should have stuck to my guns because it held the one-time framing up and actually went back up. But again, it was a small one. Then I didn't do anything. Well, I gave the room a break. Usually when I leave the room to get my lunch or use the restroom, that's when the market gets a move. And I still said I'm not crazy how the buyers are acting. I think we might take out E and get something to the downside. So I said I'll leave the room, and I left the room, and then lo and behold, that's what happened. If I was here, I would have taken a break of F's low. I'm sorry, of E's low for a short. But I wasn't here. Now, I was looking for a long. Now, I'm in fives. This was not value low yet. And it wasn't, and half back was lower, obviously, because this hadn't happened. I was looking for value low and half back to get long in F, but it never pulled back to where it was. It would have been a good risk reward against the opening. Never got it, never got to the level I liked, and it went back up. So I missed it. So the next trade I took was actually in J period. I bought the 380 calls in J period. We were still one time, we had not, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that's what happened. So J, the beige book came out, shot up, shot down, and then went up. And then it looked like we were going to have single prints. And I took a call play in J period and went back up, and I took them off before the time frame even ended. I did the same in K against the single prints, but this time they filled. I got out. I lost. That was the only trade I lost on. Those were the 380 calls again. I lost on those. And then in L period, I took a short when it looked like it was going to break K's low. I was like, I think some of these longs are going to give it up. Remember, none of the single prints held. So that's why you could afford to short new highs, because you got two-sided trade. We had no single prints that held. So I took a short right before we broke K's low in L, did the 382 puts, and got paid for them. Again, nothing great because we didn't push down as much as I thought we would. But actually, I took those for good size. That was a 50 lot. I was looking. Now it doesn't look like a lot, and it wasn't. But that's why I bought 50. I was looking for D's low, and then to see what we would get below that. I did okay on 30 of them. 20 of them I took off when we went back into K's range, and that was it. So it was a good day. So destinations. So here's why we can get more volatility, because there's not many, and they're far and wide apart. Upside. Today's high. So we closed. Let's see where we settled again. I always look at that. We settled at 379.79. First destination is 380.86. That's today's poor high. So $1 higher. And then above that, we don't have anything to 381.49. Weekly high, all-time high, and 381.96. Overnight all-time high. For the downside, we closed at 379.79. Our first destination is the afternoon pullback low, 379.09. So almost $1 away again. Then below that, we don't have anything to today's low of 377.85. And then 376.36 and 375.91, the bottom of the 5-day balance. Let's go to the charts. So monthly, we haven't looked at the monthly. We're getting towards the middle of the month. We're one time framing up 3 months right now. Healthy, out of an inside month 4 months ago. We're staying above the previous month's high right now. So right now, all systems go on the monthly. Very nice, very healthy. Weekly. Outside week up. So far, it's an inside week with 2 days to go. I'm a little disappointed because last week we closed at 381.26 with an outside week up. Well, we haven't even gotten above where we closed last week. We got close today, but we didn't get above it. So at some point, if this outside week up is to be successful, they better get their move on. Otherwise, we might just have an inside week, which will be a really nice setup going into next week. Remains to be seen, right? And then on a daily, plain and simple, 5-day balance. Very, very tight 5-day balance. It's just a little over $4.50. So at some point, we're going to pop out of it and get either some pretty good acceleration to the upside, I hope, or we're going to pop out of it and get acceleration to the downside. I don't care which way we get. I just want to get some good movement. So even though it's been a tight range, we've had some very nice opportunities the last 5 days. But I can assure you, you're going to get really good opportunities when, not if, but when we come out of the 5-day balance. Again, I will not be here Friday. I'll be here tomorrow. So I'm hoping Friday isn't a real fun day that I miss. I will be here tomorrow. Hope you have a good. Hope you had a good day trading. Have a great night, and we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.